Even Hey everybody, welcome back to the Weekend Horror. This week we'll be going over January 5th through January 11th. I'm Alex, and with me as always is Eugene and JL.
What's up, everybody?
How's it going?
Alright, since we just finished off a whole nother decade, I'm sure probably a couple more for you, JL, than me, but we
Couldn't go 10 seconds. I swear to God.
I know.
I think it's a new record right there.
So we just went through a whole decade of horror, and we thought we'd take a look at our top 5 horror picks of the 2010s. Eugene, why don't you start us off with your top 5 favorite movies from the last 10 years? Okay, and you can't pick any of your own.
Oh, damn it. So I have 2 movies now for my top 5. So, my number 5 pick is actually, it's probably the most underrated film that came out this decade, and it actually has one of the best performances from a super complex character from a slasher film that you just normally don't see. And the premise is kind of, we've been there before, but it was executed like on every level perfectly. And that is Happy Death Day.
Okay.
Nice.
It's a fun movie. The girl who plays Tree, I can't think of the actress's name right now. She does an amazing job for a slasher film, and they take a premise and they give it like a really nice spin on it to the point where it's like refreshing. My number 4 pick is probably one of the biggest movies that came out this decade, and probably has like the creepiest villain out of my list, and that is It Follows.
Okay,
nice. Yes,
that's a good one.
It's a fucking amazing flick.
That's the STD one, right?
Yeah, the STD one.
The
STD curse.
The curse, the sexually transmitted. I guess STC, huh?
Oh, by the way, to answer your question, Eugene, that's Jessica Roth.
Jessica Roth?
Oh,
Yeah,
I've seen that
it
name
was
before.
Tree in Happy Death Day.
Okay, yeah. I want to see more stuff from her. Like, she has acting chops.
Oh, she's seriously talented.
That one was
Yes.
new, right?
Yeah, I think Happy Death Day came out 2016. And
Yeah,
then
it was
got the sequel.
fairly new. Yeah.
Happy Death Day was 2017, and then Happy Death Day to You came out in 2019.
Yeah, that came straight out to Netflix, right?
No, it had a theatrical
No,
release.
that was theatrical.
Was it really?
And
Yeah.
it was like one of the biggest horror releases of that year.
Huh.
Sleeper hit.
Cool.
Yeah. It was just one that they didn't even really advertise it that much, but like, I don't know.
feel
I
like
saw a
I've
trailer
seen
once and I liked
I've seen
it.
like the trailer, but I never actually saw the movie.
But It Follows was fucking. I mean, that movie was fucking amazing.
Yeah. It was good.
It was just creepy. It was just an invisible villain. The way they played it off, the 360 camera movements in it was just awesome. It just immerses you in that world. Number 2, which should have, I'm sorry, not number 2, number 3, if I can count. Number 3 was a movie that I thought should have been nominated for Best Picture, and it really played with the senses, and that was A Quiet Place.
Okay, that was a good one.
And I like the fact that it focused on characterization. Like, yeah, you had the monsters that was there, but most horror movies, they seem like they take place like in a week. And this one, I felt like they've been in this world for years. And you can see how it just kind of wore them down, and it strained like their family dynamic, especially with the like shocking intro in the film, something you don't see very often.
It's almost like they've hit a point of we're doing this and not. It's just it looks like I agree with the whole playing with the timepiece there, because it's like you can feel like this is it. This is we're doing this now. Run.
I wish I could agree. I wish I could agree with you, but I know a lot of people loved A Quiet Place. They really, really dug it, but God, the people are gonna hate me for this. I did
Unpopular opinion in
angry
3,
unpopular
2.
opinion. I didn't dig it. There were just too many holes in that plot. Why didn't they just set up their camp by the waterfall? There was just, you're right there. You have the ability. There's plenty of space. Just set up your ship by the waterfall. They won't be able to hear you. Yeah. Either way, I mean, there's just too. I guess I went into a lot too logical, And I just analyzed it. I was watching. I was like, wait a minute. What? Why? Why would you? Oh, well, okay. So I mean, I know a lot of people loved it. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time shitting on it. Just
it was a theatrical experience too. It was
It
something.
was, yeah.
Yeah,
It was a theater movie. It wasn't like you find on some back page, gold
yeah.
mine.
Oh yeah.
No,
if
that's
you watch
no.
it at
It's
home, if you watch it at home, it's not the same experience. Because I remember seeing this in the theater, and like people were afraid to eat popcorn, kind of thing, or open
Just
a bag
dead
of
silent.
candy. And so part of the reason
Somebody
I love
opens their Skittles, the entire theater turns and looks at him. Like, what?
What are you doing?
You're gonna die, clown.
It's like that fucking library from Ghostbusters.
Oh, good times.
So my number 2, which definitely one of the creepiest ones, and it kind of hits I'm a huge history buff, so it kind of hits the history buff part of myself too, and that was like The Witch.
Fuck yeah.
And
I knew that was gonna come up.
Oh yeah,
yes.
it has to, because the thing is like one of the creepiest aspects of that movie was their whole thought process, that whole Puritan, the way they thought, and that was fucking real.
Yeah.
I loved how it played. It played stronger on, instead of like overt like magic and shit like that. It played off perception, and you wonder how much is in their minds, how much is actually happening to them, and obviously there was something supernatural going on, but it wasn't so extreme that it took you out of it. It was like, wow, this could be going on, and if you weren't paying attention, you wouldn't notice. That whole kind of thing, and how their devout belief kind of opened them up to that suggestion and opened them up for attack. It was just such a brilliant slow burn. I loved it.
It really did, because it focused on like a lot of the family dynamic, and you're right, it's little stuff where she's doing the peekaboo with the baby, right? And I totally put my hands over my face, might be a mic, and then all of a sudden the baby's just gone, kind of thing.
Dude, yeah. You're like, wait, what the fuck? Where's the child? Somebody find that baby.
Wasn't there a baby there, like, a little bit 5 seconds ago?
But was it? Yeah, that was a good one.
It there? And then, last but not least, definitely the movie that should have won Best Picture, because I can't even name the movie that did win Best Picture off the top of my head. And definitely a movie that's going to be talked about and dissected 10, 20, 30 years from now. And that's the movie Get Out.
I knew that was going to come up too.
Yep.
That was a good one.
It was so good. It hit on a lot of themes. Definitely a couple that I can relate to. It was so well executed. And I don't know why people have been sleeping on Jordan Peele. I knew he was going to be good and going to be a big deal from the first time I saw him. And it paid off.
I don't feel like I can comment on that movie.
What, Get Out?
No, I'm riffing. It's because of the social dynamics of the movie. There are the obvious social dynamics, but it was an extremely well acted film. A lot of my favorite actors in there. The lead actor in that for the God dang it, Eugene. His name, it escapes me real quick.
Oh, I can't think of his name right now.
It's the dude that was the main actor in the movie.
David Kaluuya.
Okay.
David Kaluuya, who played Chris in the film. I caught him. What attracted me to Get Out was he was in an episode of Broken Mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And he was phenomenal in that. And I think that was season 2. He did like a season 2 episode of Broken Mirror, but he was magnificent in that. The guy just kind of came out of nowhere because Broken Mirror is it's UK based, but turns out he's a BAFTA award winning actor. Of course after Get Out, Golden Globe, Screen Actors Guild, stuff like that. So the dude is absolutely amazing. But it's strongly recommend, if you haven't seen it, check out that Black Mirror episode he did. I can't remember the title of it. It's about the dystopian world.
Did you say Black Mirror? Or Black Mirror.
Black Mirror, yeah. It's the episode was about the dystopian world where people pretty much, exercise to get money, and they try to get onto like reality shows and shit.
Yeah, no, I remember that one.
Yeah, he was in that, and he was stunning how good he was. That's what got me to Get Out. I was like, oh, I remember that dude. Man, he's blowing up. So,
yeah, he's
oh
good.
Shit, he's blowing up.
He's really fucking good. So.
Yeah, he
played
played
a great movie. A great movie. I don't feel I can comment on the commentary of the film.
I can give you a pass.
But a fantastic movie, an excellent choice.
So that's my top 5 for the decade. I do have some honorable mentions though, just real quick. My honorable mentions are The Conjuring, You're Next, Hereditary, and the 2018 Halloween. Just wanted to give a shout out to those also.
Awesome. All right, well, I've got my top 5. We may see a couple of repeats here, but there's a reason we're going to repeat them. So, in no particular order, I just say these are my top 5. So, I'm not going to number them off. But first is The Babadook.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Such a brilliant...
So, I'm excited that you like this movie, too.
I thought it was an amazing film. And plus, with the psychological aspect, I'm drawn to the psychology of horror. And such a psychologically withering film. You feel the mother's plight. You understand what she's going through. It was one of the most empathetic performances I've ever seen.
Absolutely, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yes,
the way that you could feel how she felt, and it wasn't just like forced upon you, but like you'd start to feel it, and then you'd notice it in her. Yeah. And that was like, okay, cool. It's going exactly how I feel it's going to go. So yeah, I agree with you. It was very empathetic.
It's been a long time. Cool. It's been a really long time since I've had any character in a horror film really pull me in like that and bring me to emotionally to their level. And
it's not overdone. It's done right.
It was not overdone. It was, and you recognize that this is a plight that goes on every day around you. You just don't see it. Now all of a sudden you're in the house with her, dealing with these things. It was just absolutely, and then you throw in a monster on top of it. Right. Okay, absolutely, brilliant work, and just super creepy. That one actually gave me the creeps. So, the Babadook. I also follow along with Eugene on this one. It Follows was a terrific film. One thing that always stood out to me while I was watching it is the disorientation of time. Is that you never really know at what point the film is set in, because the cars are both retro and modern.
Yeah,
you've got the way the interior design's done on a lot of the homes is both a combination of modern and dated, 70s, 80s style. Everything, whenever the kids are watching something on television, it's always in black and white. Okay, and the whole film seeks to just disorient you. And Eugene mentioned the 360-degree camera work. You seriously, and by the time the movie is done, you don't know which way is what. Okay, because it puts you in that mentality where you've got to be looking all around you at all times.
Yeah, that it can come from anywhere, and even in terms of like the only true electronic device was a little clamshell that one of the girls reads poems from. So you don't even have smartphones or anything like that can help orient you what time period is.
Yeah, it was a really disorienting, a very fresh idea on the STD curse. Burgeoning sexuality in youth, that whole kind of thing. I really loved it. Plus that whole sequence at the end in the pool when the being shows up, because it takes the faces of random people, shows up as her father, and that blew my mind. But she couldn't articulate that. She was so terrified. So just a brilliant acting, really smart, fresh film. My next one is Hereditary.
Yes, because, good one.
And predominantly, for two reasons. One, I love Toni Collette. I absolutely adore her. I've adored her since The Sixth Sense. I love everything she's done. I think she's so underrated. That scene at the dinner table when she's screaming at her son, and she did the whole freak out moment. That was pure terror for me, because in my misspent youth, I had moments like that with my mother, and it was just shocking how raw that was. And of course, the telephone pole scene is pretty brutal. You don't see that coming. So, Hereditary got up there for me. The Evil Dead remake.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Yes, that Sam Raimi produced and Bruce Campbell produced. I'm a big fan of the Evil Dead series, and to see that come back, I was a little scared when I first heard about it. I was like, oh, they're gonna fuck this up. Because they usually fuck up remakes. But when I heard that Bruce Campbell was producing and Sam Raimi was producing and Fede Alvarez was behind it, and I was like, this may actually be something. And what they turned out, the first goddamn 5 minutes of that fucking film left my jaw on the floor. It was the first 5 minutes, the scene in the basement.
Oh yeah, it was terrifying.
And I was like, what? And no Evil Dead, not Evil Dead 1 or Evil Dead 2, because they went pretty fast into the camp in the Sam Raimi trilogy, but none of those caught me like that. And it was like, you could tell the channeling Sam Raimi, but also putting, Alvarez putting his own spin on it. It was literally like, what the fuck? It was like, this is not your grandfather's Evil Dead. So
No.
I was blown away.
It still felt like the same style though, which was amazing. Like,
oh yeah,
to a T.
Yeah.
So
And it didn't change. You were taken right back to the first one. It was like, okay, let's do this.
You see that fucking book, and all the memories of the first films come out, but this is darker. It's grittier. It's like engrossing. Like, you're emotionally pulled into this instead of just watching a scare romp. It's really dragging you in, and that was just phenomenal. I was blown away. But, Jane Levy is such a fantastic little actress, and I'm so happy to see she's churning stuff out now. But man, she put it in her performances, Mina. That was pretty intense. And my last pick is pretty kind of lesser known, but the home invasion horror Hush.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good one.
Yeah. My wife caught this on Netflix, and she said, "You've got to watch this movie." And I was like, "Oh." So I had a night off one night, and I was like, I'm going to check this out. And for the depiction of someone with a disability in a horror film usually never bodes well. But the thing is, the big thing about this is you have a woman with a disability, she's deaf, being stalked by a serial killer, or maybe he's just a mass murderer, we don't know, being stalked by a slasher, okay? And she can't hear, okay? And so he breaks into the house, she doesn't know.
Fucking,
Okay.
and then he takes a picture of her, dude. I was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Okay, but she was sitting there,
Turn around! Shit, she can't hear me.
And, but the use of her inner monologue, because she
dude,
can
it's
still
great.
hear her inner monologue.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
when she's speaking to herself in her head, I was like, that's brilliant.
It's quiet for like a lot of the movie. There's nothing, but it's you're like, ah!
And I loved there were such brilliant little character notes in there. She had gotten to the point where she couldn't tell if it was her mom's voice or her own voice anymore.
Yeah.
Where it was just the voice that she had in her head.
She's like,
It was
"Shit,
the
is
voice that she
what I
was
sound like?"
one of the few voices she remembers. But that scene, she's typing at the when she was working on her novel, because I believe she's working on a novel, and her best friend, her neighbor, is getting murdered like right outside the window. Okay, but she can't hear. She can't
she
hear
has
her
no
banging on the
idea.
glass. She can't, and she's just like this. And I was like, that is so fucking wild. And then the killer's kind of like, can this bitch not hear?
Like, what the fuck is going
What
on?
the fuck?
Are you serious? Like, just murdered your
holy
friend.
He's like, holy shit, she's fucking deaf.
Oh wait, she's deaf. This is gonna be fun. And then
Oh,
it
and
wasn't for him.
Oh, and then towards the end, that scene in the bathtub when she's cornered herself in the bathtub with the
Yeah.
knife, and just that when you see the window opening up behind her, and he kind of like drops down. It was like, oh fuck.
And then he
And-
slowly goes.
Yeah, well, don't
Oh.
I don't want to spoil what happens in that. It's brilliantly shot. It's really, really smart. The fact that the lead actress in it, she wrote it with her husband. Her husband directed. She starred, and it was just kind of like a personally, I think there were like 3 or 4 actors in this whole thing. Just a smart, home invasion horror film where the killer's out there with creepy dude like this. It was really, really good. I think it's still on Netflix for people who want to watch it. So I strongly recommend that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
That's
It's
my
really
top 5. I did have a couple of honorable mentions, but I think I'm repeating what Eugene said. The new Halloween 2018, brilliant. I'm saying brilliant, but I'm saying brilliant over and over and over again. But these are brilliant fucking films.
Brilliant.
Excellent film, terrific film. Danny McBride and Jason Blum, and Blumhouse they're sweet. They're knocking it out of the park these days. So that one, and I got to give it to Midsummer, because Midsummer I didn't expect. I especially didn't expect such a full-on horror fucking movie, like a horror show in broad fucking daylight.
Yeah, it's not something you see very often.
Yeah, that blew my mind. That, this could be a beautiful sunny day, and we're fucking scared out of our wits. That's turning it on, and that was the director of Hereditary. So it was kind of like, goddamn. So I was really impressed by that. So yeah, so those are my two honorable mentions for the 2010s. I mean, there's a lot of them out there, but there's a lot of good ones out there, but these were my standouts.
Awesome. I guess that brings it to me. See, I think we might be spending like a lot of time together, because I kind of had a feeling you guys were going to pick a lot of those. And I didn't know beforehand, but so I kind of stayed away from the ones that you were talking about, because I had a feeling those were going to get brought up. So I kind of went in a different direction. I'd say my number 5 would be Mandy. And I put that one in there because
nice.
It was
okay.
it was a psychological fucking thrill ride. And you get all the way up until this is a good one and people should watch it. I'm not going to spoil it, but when we'll say when Mandy kind of tells I always fucking forget his name. That one dude to kind of fuck off. Yeah.
Red.
Or no, not the one that she was with, the cult leader guy.
Oh, when she was when he had her drugged up and in the chair.
When they dropped the LSD in her eye.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, dude, that scene into I was, oh my god, yeah. So that was one of the biggest scenes that stood out to me over a lot of movies. And Nicolas Cage,
Oh,
good job for Nicolas Cage.
It was like that movie was written for him.
Yeah. He was great in that movie. And then number 4, The Taking of Deborah Logan.
That movie had that freaky fucking scene where the ghost was eating the chick, right?
Yes, dude.
Oh
yes.
my god.
Oh, I know the scene you're talking about.
When she's like in the little cave. She like comes around with, oh my god, dude, I will never forget that scene.
That was so fucking freaky.
It's terrifying. That movie, I ended up trying to watch it again and I had to stop it because I knew it was coming and I was like, nope. I did that once, not gonna do that again. So that was a big one for me, and I think that one was in the earlier. That might have been like 2011, I think. But yeah, that one stuck with me. And then number 3, I'm gonna go with It Chapter 1 because
awesome.
I haven't seen Chapter 2 yet.
Yeah, good pick.
But just It and the whole, it was one of those remake could kind of fuck it up kind of things, but it was just, I thought that was a fantastic film. Number 2, I'm gonna have to say is Train to Busan. I know it's not like full-fledged horror, but
that was a horror movie.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely horror.
It was a horror movie in the aspect of like the monsters, but then also what that poor freaking dad had to deal with. It was
it's like, okay. That I thought Train to Busan was a brilliant. I'm not gonna say it again. I'm not saying the fucking. That was
another adjective. That's what you need.
That was an awesome blending of, humans are as scary as zombies.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Where the human element is just as fucking bad, if not worse. Because at least the zombies are predictable.
Right.
Okay? Humans are fucking atrocious. And that fucking businessman in there, I have never wanted to deck a goddamn character so much in my life. I was like, the first stunt he pulled, like, oh, you're going to die. You're going to die so fucking bad.
It's going to take a long time, but it's going to hurt really bad.
It's going to hurt. And you're gonna fucking cry for your mama. And I was so glad he did. Fuck that asshole.
Yeah, he was a dick.
And the first time I've ever seen anybody, I'm sorry I'm jumping on this, but I've never seen a hero punch, just like, I'm gonna punch these zombies in the face.
I'm gonna just
fuck these zombies. And the dude was fucking going, and he's just like, hey, whatever, man. Punch zombies. I'm like, fuck yeah.
The whole thing that got me was that movie was not in English. And so I watched this entire movie and I realized you didn't even need the fucking dialogue. Like, you could watch that movie on silent and you would understand everything that was happening in that movie.
Yeah, I felt like I quit reading the subtitles like a third of the way
It's like
through.
what? It's like almost a 3-hour movie too. And so like,
Yeah.
by halfway I wasn't even really reading the subtitles anymore. I was like so invested in the emotion in that movie, and it was great. And then it gets to the end and you're like, "Oh my god, I know what's going to happen and this is too much emotionally." And yeah, and they're making a second one.
They're making a sequel, yeah.
They're making a second
We're
one.
gonna get another one.
I was like, "Okay, I can dig that." I hope it's 3 hours long again, because that was a fun ride.
I'm down for that.
Dude, I love that fucking dude. Dude, with it, because it starts off, he's like, you think he's gonna be a dick, and he's like, no, man, he's just like your everyday guy.
Yeah.
That dude was the Japanese version of Blue Collar, if there is one. He was like, yeah,
No,
man,
that's
fucking,
you relate with them so much. Like, as an American,
he's
it's
like,
weird.
He's like, what the fuck, man? He's just like, I think that dude is how the Japanese view the average American guy. It's
God, they
like
love us.
that's what Americans are like. They're just like, whatever, it's
Whatever,
okay.
bro.
Yo, man, what's your problem? Okay, we're cool. We're friends now. Fuck these zombies. Punch them in the face. You know.
Fuck zombies. Punch them in the
Fuck
face.
zombies. That's how we deal with our shit. We punch things.
Punch it in the face.
God, maybe that's why I related with it. Man, it makes more sense now. They're like, if we just act like Americans, Americans will love us. And just so you know, guys, it worked. Sweet. So yeah, that was fun. Then my number one, and I couldn't even tell you why, but I'm gonna have to go with As Above, So Below.
Really?
Huh.
So I watched this movie one time, and then I watched it a second time because the first time through it's so trippy and it's scary. And I guess growing up, I've been in caves. My sister lives in Colorado, so we go out there sometimes, and we'll go walk through these caves, and the whole movie is them being stuck in the catacombs, and that's terrifying in itself, because that was a true story. There was a guy that went down, they never found him, they found like his camera and stuff, and so the whole movie, by the third time I was watching, I was like, I really fucking like this movie. And like, there's puzzles and there's monsters, and then there's psychological, where it's just like, you don't know at one point what's real and what's not, and then you get to the very end and it was like, what the fuck? Have you seen it?
I have.
Okay, so like when
I think-
when they're coming up out of the thing, and it's all, I'm like, what?
I
Wait,
thought
what?
that the premise is brilliant. I just said it again. The premise was excellent. The premise was it was a really, really good horror film. I love the psychological nature of it. I thought this would really work as a good feature. I thought the found footage take took away from it. And
I can agree with that for sure.
because because you're talking about characters, you're taking your characters down into basically the first the first circle of hell, okay, and they're being confronted with all their own personal bullshit.
Right.
Okay, all their own personal baggage is coming back for them, and they've got to work through that shit if they want to make it out of here alive. So,
But see, if you didn't know that going into it, it'd be a different movie. Because it looks like they just got lost in the catacombs.
yeah, well, the
and they're
title
being-
the title gives that away.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna have to
So-
see it because I haven't seen it.
It's a decent. It literally is it's a really decent film. It really is. I had no problems with it, except I just thought the found footage aspect took away when you have such deep penetrating issue or penetrating subjects like that in your storyline. You want that camera to be able to stay on them. You want to love that moment. You want to be in that moment. And with the found footage, you get the glancing moment. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, because you can have it where sometimes it's like the cinematography should always enhance a story and not draw attention to itself. And I think with found footage, it has to constantly keep drawing attention to itself to go, hey, remember, this is just a guy holding a camera kind of thing. I can get that.
Yeah.
Right. I think what I liked about it, and what I like in a horror movie, is they played into a finish from the beginning, but they don't start piecing it together until like 3/4 of the way through. So everything you see, even if it's just like little stuff, but the stuff that kind of like jumps at you is stuff that then all comes back around at the end and kind of all clicks together. And they did it in a way that it was just like, it was really intense for like the last probably 15 or 20 minutes of the movie because it was like, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
It was good. It was believable characters, really strong premise, good psychological aspects. I love the idea of people being faced with their own bullshit. Not to mention they're already in a scary situation because they're lost, in the Paris catacombs, and they keep going down.
That would be
Further and
terrifying.
further.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it is scary as fuck. The idea that they're in a real place and dealing with this stuff, and the supernatural aspect. I loved it. I wish I found myself at more times than not being like, oh god, dang, why didn't we stay with that moment longer instead of the camera just kind of like, oh, here's something freaky, and then we're moving on to the next, or oh, what was that? Like this, and I wished for more. But everything else kind of like balanced that out. That's why it was a really good movie. I recommend you check it out, Eugene.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll watch it this weekend.
Yeah, it was a good one. And so that's my 5.
Awesome.
And I didn't go deep into honorable mentions, but there was 2 that I did see. Doctor Sleep, that was one, the sequel to The Shining. It was a fantastic movie. And then I don't know if you've ever seen it, but The House that Jack Built.
Oh yeah, that's a freak with Matt Dillon.
Yeah. I thought that was probably one of his best movies for sure.
That's a gruesome little film.
Oh, that's
It
what
was,
directed by Lars Van Trier. Yeah, Lars Van Trier. Okay, yeah.
He's the serial killer.
He's so casual about it. He's so likable in that movie.
God, he's such a good guy. Just hope you're not his type. Cool. Well, definitely check some of those out. There's some really good movies in there. That was our best of the best decade picks. But we're done with that, so let's move on to our show.
All right. So the first movie we have on here, which is a nice, sequel of a sequel of a prequel of a sequel somewhere in, a muddled timeline somewhere in there, right?
God, I guess it could be a prequel or a sequel, huh?
Yeah, it can go either. It goes either way.
It's a prequel. Yeah. I'm going to say prequel on this.
Yeah, it ends where like the first one began, but it's
but
like
the third one began where like the first one was halfway through, and then
it kind of goes back and whatever they want to do with the franchise. So it came out January 5th, 2018, and it's Insidious: The Last Key, directed by Adam Robel, if I might butcher that. Robel?
That's right.
Yeah, Adam Robel, Leah Whannell, and starring Lee. I'm so sorry. I'm going to get so many angry letters one day. But you got...
That's not my name.
You butchered my name. We're gonna have a guest come on one day and be like, "Yeah, you remember the time you talked about my movie and you butchered my name 3 years ago? I haven't forgotten." And so starring Lynn Shay, Agus Sampson, Leon Whannell, Spencer Locke, and basically what it is like kind of like a prequel to the Insidious franchise, where you have the main character, Elise, starts doing paranormal investigation, except she ends up investigating the home that she grew up in. And so along with her going through the investigation of the house she grew up in, it starts bringing back a lot of flashbacks. You start dealing with her parents, her dad, which is apparently a really shitty guy, like really, really shitty guy. Coming thing, and so she starts unraveling kind of mysteries of her past. At the same time, you start seeing some of these other characters. You see where the other Insidious franchises kind of begin, and at one point they go to like purgatory, something like that, whatever you want to call it, when they're all like in the jail cells.
Yeah, I think it's still in the astral world, or the what is it, the other? I can't remember what they call it.
Yeah, they call it something. I just can't. I remember like the long hallway, and it had like the jail cells and stuff like that. Right? You had the different creatures in there and stuff like that. But yeah, it was like we hit something, and we're gonna kind of keep milking it and keep milking it and keep milking it, and we got the last key out of that.
Well, the film itself, I thought. The film performed well. I think it's one of the better performing of the franchise, and despite that, I think people are starting to feel kind of fatigue with the Insidious series.
Definitely.
it came out strong with the first one. Patrick Wilson's always always great to watch. But I'll let this. I wanted to spotlight actress Lynn Shay in this because she's number one. I love her to death. She's a phenomenal character actress. She's been a character pretty much since she appeared with Jack Nicholson in Going South in 1978. She's pretty much done character work ever since then. Just appearing all over the place. And the Insidious series, or her basically her work with Blumhouse, has really given her the opportunity to shine. And Lynn has a history. Pretty much her filmography is either comedy or horror. And in the horror films, she was in the original Nightmare on Elm Street. She was one of the teachers in the very first one, and she did a few horrors before that. She was I think in 1982's Alone in the Dark. But I mean, she's a character actress who has pretty much done anything and everything and starred across from anybody. She's mostly known for her comedy. I think you guys might remember her. I think her two most prominent comedic roles was There's Something About Mary. She was the overtanned neighbor.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Magda. Yeah. And she was Woody Harrelson's character's landlady in Kingpin. And she was particularly foul in that one. That kind of thing. So, but nowadays, her work with Blumhouse has given her a chance to shine and really show that she's got the chops to really carry a film, and with excellent writing. I just want to give her a shout out because her character Elise has, I think it's Elise Rayner, has made those movies. She stands apart. She's not a cookie cutter of your paranormal investigators, and unlike Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, who are in the Conjuring side playing Ed and Lorraine Warren, she's a character all her own, and she's got to make it her own. And so she is the reason why those films have made as much as they have, bringing that character to life. And so I'm really looking forward to with the stuff that she's got coming out next.
Insidious 16.
Well, I know most recently she was in. I mean, she did a turn as another crazy landlady in Room for Rent, but she was more of a kind of like a slow burn psycho in that one. That was pretty strong. But she was recently in the new Grudge that just released.
Oh,
okay.
That's her most recent film.
Oh God, I gotta go see that.
Yeah. So, love her to death. And if it wasn't for, it was Blumhouse that gave it to her. Jason Blum and Blumhouse Films.
Blumhouse Films, man. If you've seen an awesome horror movie, you've seen Blumhouse on it.
Holy shit.
Well, because you got Insidious, and so they started out, I remember Paranormal Activity was when I first spotted Blumhouse. I think it was Paranormal Activity 2 is when I started getting into, and then Insidious comes out, and you got all this stuff going on. You're like, who the hell is making these super awesome freaking films? And they just blew up from there. Dude, Blumhouse, The Purge, they did, what was the one with Rob Zombie?
Oh, they kicked it off with Paranormal Activity, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
They had done a couple of movies before that. One was called Griffin and Phoenix, and the other one was called The Fever. Actually, they had a couple more movies after that too. The Darwin Awards and Graduation, and then Paranormal Activity kicked off in 2009. So they started off in 2006, and then all of a sudden they jump into this Paranormal Activity, which just blew the fuck up. That was
15. What was that? They shot it for $15,000 and grossed almost $200 million.
Yeah. You want to talk about? And then they're like, "Hey, we're pretty good at this." But they did Tooth Fairy, and then Paranormal Activity 2, and then Insidious, and then Paranormal Activity 3, and then
fuck, you mentioned Rob Zombie. It was Lords of Salem.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Lords of Salem. Yeah, and then they got into The Purge and continued the Paranormal Activity. I think, how much did they make off the whole Paranormal Activity series?
Oh God, that whole fucking franchise. But I wonder if that franchise has grossed $1 billion yet.
I was gonna say they probably hit $1 billion. I don't know. I watched every single one of them. They did that movie Ouija. I don't know if you ever saw that one. It was pretty good.
Yeah, they have made their low budget, blockbuster.
Yeah,
the formula that they have for that, I don't know where they came up with that, but they proved that you could do it.
You can do it. And then you were talking about Happy Death Day earlier. They even did that.
Yeah, it's like what they ended up doing was instead of going like, hey, we're going to do $100 million, $200 million, it's like they were going to go back and we're going to do 10, $15 million, right? That we can take risks on some of these stories. Because I'm pretty sure a lot of these are scripts that big studios have turned down. And then they're like, we'll go ahead and we'll actually take the risk, on Happy Death Day, on Get Out,
Dude,
and
yeah, they were Get Out. And then you got the Halloween franchise. They did Halloween and they got the new one coming up.
Yeah. And that's a walk-in trilogy because you've got Halloween and then Halloween Kills and then
Right.
Halloween Ends. So they're blowing. I mean,
And then they just nailed it again, like they
Yeah.
do on everything that they put out. It's insane.
it's amazing. It is, and I have to do the shout out to the one non-horror film that I really love by them was Whiplash with J.K.
Yeah.
Simmons.
God, that was so fucking good.
Such a good
Fucking
movie.
J.K. Simmons, if only he. I mean, I understand why actors need to sometimes take breaks and take like the easy roles, okay? Because J.K. Simmons, I mean, such a phenomenal actor, but you have he's Spider-Man, he's J. Jonah Jameson in Spider-Man, or he's this low-key character, or whatever, or he does Allstate commercials, and then he turns in something like Whiplash, and I understand why a film like that you can only do them so often.
Yeah, they have to take a
Because-
year off his life, something
Oh,
like
God.
that.
That movie was so as an actor myself, I long for the film that literally just takes you there, just takes you on that journey, that exhausting emotional journey that that the audience is going to be along for the ride. I mean, he and Eugene, remind me, that lead actor.
Miles Teller.
Oh, Miles Teller, yes.
Yeah.
The two of them together. Okay.
And that one scene where he's like, "Are you rushing? Or are you dragging?" Miles Teller was like, "No, just slap me for real." So those are real slaps that you're hearing against him. Yeah, he said his face was red and like bruised afterwards.
Well, yeah.
So wild.
So I mean,
Yeah,
that's
so they've come out, and then Black Christmas just came out. Yeah, they're killer, dude.
so.
Yeah,
Keep it going, Blumhouse.
they don't have many missteps. I will say that Black Christmas was a misstep. That was a misstep because that movie was fucking trash.
All right, I can agree with that.
But they don't have many. They've had a couple of like we'll say Paranormal Activity, the ghost dimension that we probably could have done without that one.
Probably didn't need that one.
Yeah.
Although we are getting a 7th Paranormal Activity that's coming out 2022.
Yep.
But there's a few missteps in there. But for what they've done and the amount of money they've come in, I mean, Paranormal Activity is, if you adjust for marketing costs, it's legit like the highest grossing independent feature ever made.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that you got to compare it to the Blair Witch Project, which was shot for shot for 60 grand and then made 250 million worldwide. But the 60,000 in that included all of their marketing costs. And your marketing cost is pretty simple when it's literally a black screen and a few lines of dialogue.
Yeah.
That was that was pretty cheap fucking marketing. So 60 grand, 250 million, Paranormal Activity, $15,000, 193 million for the year. But the marketing was much heavier on Paranormal Activity. So
because the market strategy for Blair Witch Project was, selling that it was real.
Yeah.
So you couldn't have like the main cast go do interviews and stuff like that, like on Letterman's show or something like that, because it would break their entire marketing strategy. So they basically told like the actors, "Okay, we shot the movie, now disappear for a while."
Yeah, go hide.
Yeah.
You know what? Actually go out to the woods just for a couple weeks.
Yeah, just hang out there for a little while. So, you know what? Let us know in the comment section below, like, what are your favorite Blumhouse films with, Happy Death Day and Get Out, and we talked about Whiplash and Purge and Paranormal Activity and Halloween and Lords of Salem, and the list goes on and on and on. So let us know, what is your favorite Blumhouse film?
They're also scary.
I know.
Well, we're gonna take a trip, kind of into really scary land with this next one. January 6th, 2006, saw Eli Roth attempt to one-up the torture porn subgenre with Hostel.
This movie makes me sick just thinking. I'm just thinking about the scene where they're in like the cafe or whatever in the beginning. They're like sitting around a table. It makes me sick because I know what's gonna happen to all of them now. That fucking just the whole. Okay, so Saw was like doable. I was like, yeah, this is hardcore. I'm a badass for watching this. It's super scary. And then I saw Hostel, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
You win, film.
Well,
you win.
Hostel was
Saw was just it was artistic, and then you get into Hostel, and it's like real torture porn, and you're like, I'm not on the deep web. I'm not looking for this. Why am I watching this?
Oh my god! I bought a ticket to a red room.
Oh no!
So, but the Hostel, the first Hostel, was written and directed by Eli Roth, and starring Jay Hernandez and Derek Richardson. And I did say a slew of other people, with very unpronounceable names in in English, but
translates well in Dutch.
A pretty simple premise as far as torture porns go. Not as complicated as Saw by any stretch. It was pretty much, stupid American tourists find themselves at the mercy of the elite hunting club, a group of rich elites that like to hunt and torture pretty much people that will never be missed. And
AKA American tourists.
Super rich people go to these people go to this place, the elite hunting club, and pay exorbitant sums of money to have the elite guys bring them their victims to their little torture place where they can then do whatever the fuck they want to them. And it is gruesome to a level, I think, in 2006 that a lot of people were not prepared for. Now, Saw had already been out, and I honestly believe with how big Saw was and how big that exploded, it really was Eli Roth capitalizing on just, what would become the torture porn genre, what would start that off. Because Saw kind of gave rise to the idea of torture porn, but I don't think it was solidified in people's minds until Hostel came out. And then the kind of one-up wars started. Because torture porn, man, in the eyes of, I guess, the American public or the eyes of people, there's an appeal there.
It makes no sense as to why to me, because, I guess I was interested about what would happen if you put a blowtorch to an eyeball, but then when I found out, I was over it real fast. That scene in the movie, I don't know. There's an appeal to it. And I don't know if it's because it's so taboo, or if people are just sick in general.
It's one of the big draws of the genre is it's a way for people to kind of push that line with no consequences. It's like the same reason why people like roller coasters, because roller coasters get you to a near death experience, but you don't have consequences. You're safely strapped in, and and then it's done.
Well, most of the time.
Most of the time, yeah, except for that one in the Texas Giant. But but that's one of the appeals of it, because it's like if you take a beheading in any film, this person gets decapitated, we'll be like, oh, ha 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 ha, whatever. But I don't want to watch a beheading. Like, if you told me this was a real beheading video, I don't want to watch that. So I think it's a way for people to kind of get their rocks off without actually having the consequences.
I have to say, it's similar to the argument I made about Twilight, in that Bella is pants. Okay? And that's why the character is so flat. That's why Bella is so... Kristen Stewart played it exactly how she was written. She's a flat, emotionally one-dimensional character that just reacts to whatever's going on in a very muted way. And a friend of mine coined that, called her pants. And that was because the character of Bella in Twilight, any girl that watches that can slide into that character like a pair of pants. And that's what she is that she's designed to be basically
everybody.
Yeah, she's designed to be hollow so that the girls can just put themselves in that position and be, I could be Bella, because there's so little character there that they can literally fill in the blanks themselves. And so she's pants. They can be in those pants, and they can have a relationship with Edward, and they can be torn between Edward and Jacob. I'm not saying anymore because I don't want people to know how much I know this series.
I was gonna say,
but
we're starting a new podcast. At some
it's along
point?
those lines with torture porn, genre.
it's like Team Edward.
Jacob.
Oh God.
Fuck that brooding asshole. With torture porn, with Hostel and Saw and Turistas and various other where it's not supernatural, it's people ripping each other apart for various reasons whatsoever. I think it's like Pants, in that there is something that speaks to us, especially American audiences, of getting revenge or dishing out due justice. Okay, whether people are fed up with the legal system, or justice is never served, or red tape allowing bad guys to get off. Either way, we see shit like this every day in the media. It's people get worked up into a frenzy. They can't do anything about it. And for a while there, in the early and mid 2000s, people found an outlet, and they could slip into those torture pants and imagine in these two-dimensional victims with these shallow victims and shallow torturers and the faceless bad guy Jigsaw, because technically the puppet is the representation. Okay, with all this shallowness, you can easily slide into it. You can easily see you putting your school bully, the kid who terrorized you all throughout school. You could easily put him in that bathroom, okay, or stick him in that chair while you slice his Achilles tendons.
Why do you have to go there?
Dude, do you got some? You want to talk? Do we need to turn off the mics and
you want to talk about it?
But I need to go back. I need to go back on what you just said a couple of seconds ago, and you need to trademark something.
I didn't name
You
names.
said torture
okay?
pants.
Dude, what?
You said torture pants.
Torture pants, yes.
I'm going to need you to trademark that and then put something up on our merch section.
What are you wearing? These are my torture pants.
Torture pants. No, they got to be, you get some like yoga pants and you'll put torture pants on the butt. Dude, those would sell.
Well,
everybody fits into torture
that's
pants.
Ours. Listeners,
in
that's
my
our
little
idea.
digression, I did not name names. Fuck you, Todd Blair. Fucking asshole.
That name sounds like an asshole name, though. It's
He
Todd
is a
Blair.
fucking
Hey, I'm
asshole.
Todd Blair.
God damn. He's a fucking asshole. But anyway.
Shut up.
But yeah, I think American audiences identify with that. The ability to do that. The opportunity to dream and see. It was like, oh, wow. What if I did, put him in the reverse bear trap? I could see what that does to somebody, that whole kind of thing. And that kind of resonates with people and kind of tickled that little fancy. And then they walk out of the theater and they can wash themselves of those emotions. But
yeah, because it's like it's not real. They can go wash it off. It's not real. It's just a story, whatever, and go about their daily lives. And this is why the genre lasted it was mainstream only for a little while, because they kept one-upping each other. Because you would have the actual original cut of Saw was PG-13. And knowing that, just straight PG-13, and they knew with their marketing campaign that a PG-13 movie that's like blood is part of the can you get out of this wasn't going to work. So they reshot just a little gore here and there just to barely get that R rating. And obviously Hostel took it, and then Saw was like, okay, we got to one-up one. And they start one-upping each other to the point where people eventually were like, you know what, this is too much now. This is, we start getting...
We've gone too far.
When you start getting this like a Siberian film or whatever that one is called. That's
a Serbian
Serbian.
film.
I would keep saying Siberian. When you get like a Serbian film, it's like, okay, yeah, I think we've gone too far. People can't take this anymore. And then the genre kind of died out.
Yeah, the only one left, I think, we still get the occasional one, but not as dedicated to the sheer, eliciting of painful death to people in elaborate ways. But Saw is pretty much the only contender. I think we even have another Saw coming out this year. So
yeah, there's another one coming.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Although one that I could compare to it is probably The Purge.
I think The Purge played along those lines, but just took it
wasn't as gory.
Took it in another direction. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it had the exact same premise: a bunch of rich people, and I guess the second one, or was that whatever? And one of them, it was all the rich people were bidding on people to kill.
Yeah, I think there was a second one.
I think it's the second one.
Yeah.
The artificial population control concept, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's an interesting little film. Supremely gory, really, really brutal. Lots of stuff with eyeballs because, you know, as Gus in Psych said, eyeballs are psychologically scary.
Yes.
But you know, definitely a brutal little film that some may have some serious difficulty sitting through, especially the Achilles tendon scene. That was pretty goddamn.
Oh.
That was pretty fucking awful.
It hurts. Every time you see it, it makes your teeth go bzzz.
Yeah. Get that buzz. But yeah, well, I want to know what the audience thinks. You know, in this deal, you know, Hostel versus Saw. Which one did you prefer? Saw had the more complicated, more convoluted, you know, storyline. Actually tried to have a driving force behind the violence. Hostel was just about, you know, fucking idiots getting diced and sliced, which is probably why it only lasted 3 movies, whereas Saw has gone on to 8, now about to be a 9th film. And so, which one did you like? Did you just like getting in the nitty gritty, or did you like actually having a driving storyline and purpose with Jigsaw? Let us know in the comments. Hostel or Saw? Which one you dug?
Rock, paper, scissors. All right. So we'll move forward. Actually, same day, January 6th, 2006, BloodRayne came out. And this had to be one of the worst movies. Not just because it was a terrible movie, but you had like Michelle Rodriguez on screen, and I'm like, yes. And then I got maybe 7 or 8 minutes into the movie, and I was like, no. And then the whole movie was just a shit show. It was fucking terrible. You have such an awesome storyline that you could have done so many good things with, and the only thing that held that movie together was the fucking cast.
And
for sure.
Yeah.
Because you know, you've got Matthew Davis is in that one, and then Will Sanders, and then I always forget the main character's real name.
Well, okay, in BloodRayne, that was Kristana Loken.
Yeah, Kristana, that's right.
And you had fucking Michael Madsen, Michelle Rodriguez.
That was the one I was forgetting. Yeah,
Michelle Rodriguez, motherfucking Academy Award winning Ben Kingsley.
Dude,
Ben Kingsley.
What the fuck?
Fucking Meatloaf was in that movie. And so you got all these really good... Oh my god, I was so excited when I saw Michelle Rodriguez in the trailer, and then you see the movie, and I was like, why? And then they made a second one.
And a
It was
third
a fucking
one.
terrible movie.
There's 3.
And a third one.
Oh, wow. I've only seen the first one. That was enough.
The first one was fucking enough.
It was fucking terrible, dude. I don't even have any like good things to say about the movie except the cast held it togetn't
They went
as long as they could.
They tried. I know they tried, and so
I noticed you didn't mention the director's name.
Oh, are we saving that? Or yeah. Go ahead and mention the director.
were we saving it for something?
I mean, we can save it. I mean, we probably want to keep it. We probably want to keep his name out of our mouths as much as possible, lest we corrupt our own stuff.
While we're talking shit about one of his movies.
Maybe
he knew what he was making.
Sucks.
You know, and I wish you could say that it was because it was a video game film, because BloodRayne is based directly on an Xbox game at the time.
Yeah, it was definitely made after that.
And I don't know if you can blame that. I know that that game to film sometimes fails, so maybe it could be on that. I have no idea.
Well, you have most video game movies to film, aside from I think was it Detective Pikachu that came out like last year.
That was a fucking excellent movie.
That movie was fucking amazing.
That was a good
movie.
Like that. So to me, like that's the best one. But even you look at like good ones before Detective Pikachu, I think the best one was, I would either say Resident Evil or Mortal Kombat.
Dude, Resident Evil was the shit. I love
that.
Shit, yes.
I followed that shit from start to finish.
That captured, Anderson captured that movie perfect. I loved it. Having the universe, telling the story within the Resident Evil universe that we knew, but not using established stuff. Like, he wrote new story within the universe, which I think was what was successful in that.
Because he didn't have to adhere.
Yeah, he didn't have to adhere to the rules or the characterizations of already established stuff. He could create his own new characters and run with those, and that allowed him more creative control within an already established universe, which I think was what was important.
And the thing is, like, it worked with it, and then with Mortal Kombat, I remember when I was 10, and hell yeah, the flames start shooting at the screen. It's like Mortal Kombat,
Dude,
and I was like,
that fucking
this is
dragon
awesome.
scene pops, when that dragon logo pops up on the screen, you're like, oh shit!
Oh, here we go.
This is everything I wanted and more.
Yes. And then you watch the movie, and you're like, I don't even know if this is good because I'm only like fucking 12. I was like 9 at the time that movie came out.
And like
I don't know
every
if this is a
every
good movie or
fanboy,
not, but
like every fanboy Scorpion pops up on the screen, and I was like, fuck you!
Yeah, get over here! Yeah.
But they can't all be like that, because for every one of those you get 5 Mario Brothers or double
BloodRayne.
or Double Dragon. That's what's fucked up, is because I would actually say Double Dragon and Super Mario Brothers was better than BloodRayne.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah, at least,
Dude, it was
at least you can get through. Yeah.
And this, okay, and I don't even have anything. That's, are we still leaving the director's name out of this?
Well,
He did a movie called Rampage, and I respect him for Rampage.
I would say the Rampage trilogy is probably his best of all the shit he's done.
Yeah.
That's the most golden of all the turds he's produced.
There's not Zombie Massacre 1 and 2. Oh,
Alone in the
God.
Dark.
You Alone in the Dark.
When you make a movie based off a video game, and you try to convince me that Tara Reid is a fucking archaeologist, I'm gonna punch you in the fucking
I've
face.
seen Van Wilder, motherfucker.
I've seen
Okay.
Sharknado also. So
I will accept her in Sharknado before I accept her as the fucking archaeologist in Alone in the Dark. Okay.
Oh
Fuck.
god, this poor guy. Sorry, he's gonna fucking call us.
It's so funny because he actually, back in the day, he actually challenged a critic of his, someone who like shit all over his films. He challenged him to a fight in the octagon.
Nice.
He did, and I think nothing ever came of it. I don't think they ever fought. But at the time, I was also shitting on Uwe Boll, and I actually wrote an article where I challenged him to a fight. It wasn't the director coming after the critic. This was the critic coming after the director. And I'm a huge gamer. So I was like, you keep fucking up these games. Okay? You keep fucking them up, and I hate you, and I want to kick your ass. So I challenged him to a fight. I know his people got it. He never responded to me, though. So, but there's a reason. I mean, he went to Hideo Kojima and wanted to direct a Metal Gear Solid film.
no.
He was
No,
like, hey, Hideo,
no.
can I direct a Metal Gear Solid? Hideo Kojima was like, ha, 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 go fuck yourself. I think Hideo's response was, fuck you, or fuck no. I think it's what the dude said.
Fuck no.
He's like, fuck no. Get your hands away from my IP. So,
No.
but it's shocking that he's able to procure the actors that he gets. And one thing that is amazing, what probably a lot of people don't know, is that it's where this director, we'll mention his name in a little bit, is where he shoots his films. And typically he shoots them overseas. He shoots them, in kind of, like Eastern European, the old bloc countries. Shoots them in Prague, shoots them in Czechoslovakia. And the reason he shoots these, and his production company is based in Germany, but the reason he shoots there is because shooting costs are incredibly low, and you can get things, very much on the cheap. But because he produces out of Germany, Germany offers one of the highest tax incentives for anywhere on the planet. And I believe that they're around 50% is what they offer for films that are produced out of Germany.
Seriously?
And so, yeah. So
That's
you go in there
insane.
shooting a movie for $4 million, you're already getting 50% of it back. You're already
really beat that.
guaranteed half your money back, which means you've just freed up a shit ton of money to pay, or sometimes overpay, actors like fucking Ben Kingsley, who is an Academy Award winning actor, okay, who is phenomenal. And I don't care what he's doing, if it's a small role or a big role, he's fucking Ben Kingsley, okay? And so you can pay him an exorbitant amount of money to come out, and his name being attached to it helps to drive up, marketing, because it's Ben Kingsley, Cristiano Loken is in it, Michelle Rodriguez, Michael Madsen, a whole bunch of people, and it was like, wow, how do you get these fucking... Well, when your country offers 50% tax breaks, tax incentives to produce out of that country, and then you're shooting in fucking Prague, okay, where you can get pretty much anything loaned to you for free, then yeah, you're going to be able to pay these people a shit ton of money, which is why, which is why he can get like Tara Reid for Alone in the Dark, which is why for In the Name of the King, he can arguably his biggest cast. He's got Jason Statham, Kristanna Loken, John Rhys Davies, Lily Sobieski, Ray Liotta, Burt Reynolds. It's like, what the fuck? This is like an A and B list ensemble cast, including one of the biggest growing action stars out there, and not to mention, this is John Rhys Davies post Gimli, and how do you pay these what the fuck? And he can do that, and so we're forever gonna see our favorite fucking actors in these fucking bullshit films because he can afford to fucking pay them.
I want to know how many zeros that check had to have when you're like, oh man, no, he's trash. Open up check. Well, you know what? Maybe I'll give him a chance with BloodRayne. Yeah, maybe. Like that's insane.
It's like that fucking. It's like I can't remember who the fuck was. Who said it was he was complaining to. It was an actor complaining to. I think it was Gregory Peck. And was complaining to a director one time, and it was like, I don't know my motivation. What the hell is my motivation in this scene? And the director came to him and says, Gregory, my dear, your motivation is your fucking paycheck.
Damn.
Oh.
Okay. And you put enough zeros on there, fuck it, man. I'll dance around in a goddamn chicken suit. You put enough zeros on that fucking thing, and I'll do it for 2 hours on a fucking a tentpole summer movie. But I mean, how he fucking does it, I don't know. The goddamn gargoyle of game films, Uwe Boll.
Ah, you said his name.
I said his fucking name. Don't say it 3
it.
times, he'll fucking show up.
You'll fuck up your favorite video.
like the goddamn Candy Man.
He'll
Be
make
like
you watch his
Borderlands,
movie.
the video game. Yes, directed by Uwe Boll. Fuck!
No!
How did I know that fuck was coming?
If he touches the Uncharted series,
If
he touches the Uncharted series, I'm gonna be so fucking pissed.
Fuck that shit. I'll go to Germany and beat his ass myself.
That's when we protest. Plus, I just want to go to Germany anyway.
No, you can't protest that which is Uwe Boll.
That is fair.
This is not protestable. He must be stopped. He must be destroyed. He must be. He must be. He must be staked with a brick in his mouth and buried on consecrated ground. Because that which is not dead, eternally sleeps.
Just make him go to sleep. I'm just kidding. That was too far. But that's something I want to know from the audience though. Is what are your feelings on Uwe Boll? Do you like his movies? Is there a specific movie that you like or a specific series that he did? Because he did a couple pretty shit ones, but some of them were okay. Is there anything that you dislike about him? I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to give the opinion to the audience. What do you think about these movies? I think they're just absolute garbage.
We're gonna have like one listener who's like, he's the best director ever.
I mean, and that's your personal opinion if you're into that kind of thing. Like I said, I liked Rampage. That movie was actually, that had an impact on me psychologically, just in the way that they dove into that so deeply. Like the following a dude like that around was like, okay, I get it. But yeah, other than that, I wasn't impressed by anything at all.
Yeah, I think at Rampage he had to let out like some steam or something like that, or
Oh, that was him.
That one held on.
That was him being pissed at capitalism and shit like that.
Well, yeah, because then they did Rampage, President Down, and I was like, oh, okay,
we get it now. We get it.
Could have left it at 1.
So moving on.
Yes, wash the bad taste out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Anything else?
So the next movie we have was released January 11th, 1999, right? It was directed by Steve Miner, starring Julia Sands, Laurie Singer, and Richard E. Grant. and that is the movie Warlock.
One of my favorites. Wasn't it 91?
Yes, it was actually, it had two releases. It was a 1989 release and a 1991 release.
There's a lot of nines in that.
There was.
So many nines.
So many. But
I love this fucking movie.
But yeah, for the US release, it was January 11th, 1991.
Really? You were really into this one?
Oh, dude, I fucking love this movie. Dude, Warlock was great. It was one of the best Julian Sands performances I've seen in a long time, because it's a horror film, but it's a classic good versus evil, standard, nothing overcomplicated. Bad guy seeks to destroy the world, good guy seeks to stop him, damsel in distress caught in the middle of it. Good acting all around. Julian Sands was good. Richard Grant was always fantastic. Nobody was over the top. Nobody oversold it. And it was just a good, scary, witchcraft movie. It was just good, classic, 90s fun.
Yeah, it just kind of dives into a little bit of like that fantasy kind of horror, that idea of, you're having a warlock and a witch hunter and, a little bit of time travel, because it starts off in the 1600s and it goes over to present day in Boston. And just like
I still love how they have that fucker hemmed up at the beginning of the film with his thumbs hung to his toes and shit. And I was like, fuck yeah.
But I mean,
yeah, it was a good one.
But yeah, I mean, fantasy was big at the time, because I mean, you still had the Labyrinth that came out mid to late 80s. Had that Tom Cruise fantasy movie that came
Legend,
out.
yeah,
Legend, that came out around that same time period. So it kind of dove into just a little nugget of Hollywood of jumping into a little fantasy for a little bit, and it's a fun movie.
Times were so much better back then.
They were, weren't they? And it's interesting because it's one of the few. So as far as and I dug this one, because it went into witchcraft. I've always had a kind of passing interest in paganism and old beliefs, and I thought
Eugene, check your bed for hex bags.
So I found it interesting. It's one of the few witchcraft films out there. You don't have a whole ton. You had movies like The Craft. You had movies that had magic in them, but not ones that specifically focused on witches, unless it was like a comedy, Hocus Pocus or something like that. But you didn't really see this a lot, and so it was one of those kind of rare finds where they dove into it, and it was a great example of the tropes, the kind of Hollywood tropes of film witchcraft, and the way Hollywood kind of understands paganism, or basically Hollywood's interpretation of paganism and witchcraft, so that they could churn it up and commercialize it and give it to audiences and kind of fill their heads with what they think witches are like, and casting spells and doing shit like that and ripping people's eyes out so they can see distant things and stuff like that. And almost every trope of Hollywood witches is in this, and played superbly by the actors. And I always found that to be interesting, because those tropes have not changed even to this day. Hollywood still goes back to the well and exactly how they want to portray witches. You get now occasionally you do get the kind of independent studio produced The Witch, where there's obviously something going on, but it's really more perception than it is overt magic. Okay, but stuff like this, casting spells with visual appeal and books grimoires and shit, and human sacrifice and various stuff like this. All of this plays into this film, and I think didn't do witches much justice as far as the public perception of them.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. No, go ahead.
Yeah, because it's Hollywood's kind of ingrained what we believe witches are, because you look at The Craft and Hocus Pocus, and so we're kind of already kind of stuck on that, and that's what we're expecting, and then Hollywood kind of keeps feeding it back to us to be a certain way, because it continued on when you look at the TV show Buffy, where Willow becomes a witch, and she goes along kind of that same vein. But it's we expect this from witches, and at the same time they keep producing it to keep reinforcing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you get stuck on this thing that you're supposed to believe is like a witch, like you're talking about like grimoires and this, you know, dark arts, and it's all these are bad things, when in reality, like you said, you've been fascinated by jail, like paganism even, and when you get into like actual real life witch stuff, it's totally different. It's more about like the earth, and it's more spiritual for good reasons, and not these bad, like, oh, they portray witches as being bad things in these movies. And then you do stuff that you got like the tales of the Salem witch trials, where like a lot of the stuff you hear isn't what actually happened, and it really can't, I mean, not that it didn't happen, because it definitely did, but you
No,
know.
they're like the accusations that were made.
Yeah, some of the
Right.
events,
And so
exactly,
they kind of took like, okay, people didn't like witches then. What were they saying about them? And they took what people said about witches, that they could make stuff levitate and all this stuff, and made it look like a bad thing. And then kind of use that as like, okay, we'll use that to scare people. We'll use that as the witch. When in reality, like, it comes down to, it's like it's a spiritual thing. It's a one with the earth type thing. You know, it's not supposed to be, it sucks because it's not supposed to be a scary thing, and so now you hear witch and immediately you're thinking black hat and
Oh yeah,
black
it's
cat.
I think those tropes have been inspired, since the days of Shakespeare, when you had the three witches in Macbeth. Okay,
Yeah.
who warned, who were giving prophecies that were kind of vague and easy to misunderstand, stuff like this. And then you have like in Harryhausen's Clash of the Titans, you had the weird sisters, okay, who sent Perseus to Medusa, okay, and then in the remake we saw they were even weirder there, and so there are these kind of stereotypical tropes where you expect to see certain things, and that's why I think The Witch was such a standout, because I think that fell more in line with, whereas the actual behavior of someone who practices what they would call like black arts or a certain types of darker witchcraft, their physical behavior, it's not supernatural. It just may look weird, and we're kind of like, whoa, that's that's kind of gross, or that's kind of weird, that kind of is off-putting, but
Unnerving.
it's unnerving. But there's as far as magic goes, it's not overt. It's not spells in your face. It's not them going, oh, and then saying magical words, like fucking Harry Potter and shit. Okay?
No.
It is an energy around them that they utilize and control, and it can easily be as much as perception and suggestibility as it is actual magic. And if you create an environment that allows people who are in a position where they can be influenced by shit, you create a scary enough environment, you can influence anybody to believe anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
You get them on the right side, and that's kind of where The Witch went. Deep in unsettling woods, strange noises in the night, overly religious father figure, shit like that. When you have this kind of mentality, is it the mentality that's preying on you, or is it the actual witches that are, or are they simply preying upon your insecurities and your fears because of the situation you're in? That's why that film works so well. But it's fun. I won't deny that it's fun to watch the kind of Hollywood style, especially in good classic, or in classic evil versus good movies like this one. Such a good 3-act film. Plays, it pretty much is, it's not formulaic, but it's just a good romp. It's like a good story. Okay? The second one, you can ignore that one. Warlock 2 Armageddon was bullshit. Warlock 3 had fucking...
That doesn't count.
Yeah,
Warlock
that
3, I think Warlock 3 had Bruce Payne in it, and he's in nothing but failures. I love you, Bruce. I'm sorry. The last good thing you did was Passenger 57. But, the dude was in the Dungeons and Dragons film. I mean, come on. And, blue-lipped, plate mail wearing guy. Anyway, but the first one was just a good classic, just good fun film. And a good fun little horror film. And I would recommend it.
Now, one thing I've noticed is that we're not seeing the portrayal of witches as much anymore. Like, it was big in, like, say, the 80s and 90s, and then kind of like in the mid-2000s, it kind of fell off. Like I said, aside from, the witch being the exception, we're not seeing a lot of, like, witches today.
That's true.
No, and I think they tried to do Sabrina, and then the only other witch I could really think of that stood out was redhead from Supernatural. Oh my god.
Not Felicia Day.
No,
No,
you're talking about the redhead.
witch.
You're talking about the redhead from Buffy.
No, Supernatural.
Supernatural.
Oh, you're talking about Rowena. Rowena in
Rowena,
the later
yeah.
Okay, the later seasons of Supernatural. Gotcha.
Yeah. And so that, I mean, those are the two witches. I was thinking about this, about not seeing these today, and those are the only two that I could really come up with in like the last, 5, 6, 7 years.
Well, like it's the thing is like now that we're kind of understanding more about like the Wiccan religion, is it kind of becoming like taboo now? That now these people are kind of having more of a voice and more accepting society, that maybe Hollywood doesn't want to misrepresent them.
Maybe.
That's actually the point, because nowadays, especially with Willow from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Rowena from Supernatural, the new Sabrina on Netflix, which is an amazing series, by the way.
It was a great show. Yeah.
It's gone more, whereas I think it's gone more of a feminist tone. It's empowerment. Okay, not to, I don't want to knock it for anything, but there is a more empowering, strong female presence there. Whereas I think it's gone more of a feminist note. They've gone, you have the independent woman who chooses to live her life the way she chooses to live her life, regardless of what anybody says. And I love that message. And I think witchcraft and paganism, and I think that's been kind of co-opted by that movement to portray women in this strong, independent, powerful light. Only their strength and their independence and their power comes from witchcraft.
So you're saying women need magic to...
I don't like that message, okay? That's why I simply say that the movement has co-opted the genre.
Right.
Okay? I don't think the genre co-opted the movement.
Could agree with that.
I can go with that.
Yeah.
So let us know in the comment section below, like, is witchcraft or witches, is that still appropriate in today's climate? Is it something that we can maybe see, maybe another remake of The Craft, or, maybe another character like Willow on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, or is it too taboo now? Or it has to be more carefully represented? So definitely let us know in the comments below, is it still appropriate to have witches and talk about witchcraft?
Awesome. All right. Well, we have some birthdays. We do. And I would like to say, our first birthday is our own co-host, Eugene Hawkins.
Hey, happy birthday!
Happy birthday, dude. Born January 6th, 1984. So, the guy that I literally could not have started this podcast without. Because when I had the idea for this podcast, it was when I met Eugene, just by chance, we happened to be working together on the same film, the same 40-hour film festival. Blah, I can't talk. The first 48-hour film festival. That's where I met him. We just happened to be working on the same one. He was working as a director of photography, which he quickly upgraded to pretty much director, choreographer,
everything
on that. And I was a writer, and they tried to promote me, and I was like, no, I'm only here to write. And I think that pissed people off, but that's how we met, and we just worked together on that. We worked, briefly, and he had his job, I had mine, and after that, I had this idea because Eugene and I hit it off so much, and we had such a clear vision of what we wanted to do, and I think because we come from similar training paths as far as film school goes, that we could talk to each other in that language, where we saw things the same way because I've also directed, I've written, I've directed, I've acted, so I can see things from a camera's perspective. So I see things from a setup, how to frame something. And Eugene just took that and his extensive knowledge in that, just kind of ran with that. We just clicked as far as working, behind the scenes.
Yeah, because we just played off each other. I mean, it was just right off the bat.
And so when I got the idea for Week in Horror, he was the first person I called. I actually think I messaged you on Facebook, and I was like, you know what? I think Eugene, what it was is you mentioned that I think it was something you mentioned that you wanted to do something creative or do something that you had posted online, social media. I think it was just like literally a throwaway post, but it was something about doing something creative, being involved in something creative. And I was already having this idea for a podcast, and I think it was just kismet that I happened to see that post, and I was like, you know what? I wonder if he'd be interested in doing a podcast. And I reached out to Eugene, and Eugene was like, you know what? Fuck yes. Let's do that.
Guess what? He was.
Yes.
Like, and I think it was just a matter of, it's something we've wanted to do. We wanted to do a podcast. Maybe we didn't know exactly what. Maybe we didn't know, how we were going to pull it off. But you know what? Fuck it. It's not exactly that difficult. I've been on the sets of multi-million-dollar films before. Shooting a fucking podcast should not be that goddamn hard. Okay? And without Eugene, I wouldn't have been able to make this happen. And then of course, you came along, Alex, and you filled out the bunch. But without Eugene, there is no Week in Horror. Because he had to say yes. Because if Eugene hadn't said yes, I probably would have just been like, okay, never mind.
All right, I guess
I'll go back to playing World of Warcraft. So that's my thank you to Eugene. Happy birthday, dude! Thank you so much, because without you, this podcast doesn't. We don't do episode 15. So thank you, dude.
Yeah, I love it too. Thank you.
Birthday.
Thank you. We get a nice tear now coming down.
All right, so we got a couple more. Next one, born the exact same day. Congratulations, Eugene. He shares your birthday.
We're twins.
By a few years. January 6th, 1969. Happy birthday to the man, the myth, the legend, fucking Daryl Dixon. Happy birthday, Norman Reedus.
Motherfucker, I love this guy so much, and my fucking fiance loves him so much too, and that makes me jealous.
Is he on both of y'all's freebies list?
Yeah, pretty much.
Not saying I would say
and
no.
This guy
but...
is somebody who I came so close to meeting. I was down in Austin at this bar, and this guy was like, yeah, I own this. I was talking to this dude at the bar, and he's like, yeah, I own this bar down the road. We got talking, and somehow Norman Reedus came up. And he's like, yeah, no, Norman's like a cool guy. And I kind of laughed, and he's like, yeah, he comes into my bar. And I was like, yeah, okay. And he's like, no, look. And he showed me pictures from it was like 2 weeks. There was 2 weeks worth of pictures, just separate dates, that this guy just hangs out with Norman Reedus at his bar.
Holy
and he's got all these selfies with him and pictures with Norman. And Norman's taking pictures of both of them. And I was like, holy shit. Is he there now? He's like, no, he usually actually comes out on whatever day. It was the day before we were sitting there. And he's like, you should come out. And I didn't, and I should have. And I'm kind of pissed. But yeah, that dude's, he's my favorite.
So I actually got a chance to meet him.
Dude, I heard he was the chillest motherfucker.
He is. He's super cool. It was me and one of my best friends. We went to Dragon Con, and and it wasn't a meeting behind the booth, sign, all the other kind of stuff. No, we were sitting there we were at a bar, and this girl went up to go order some drinks, just kind of standing next to me, and we kind of start talking and chatting and all this other kind of stuff. She's like, hey, y'all are really cool. Do y'all want to come back and chill at our table? And so we're like, yeah, let's go back. And we start walking over to the table, and it's Norman Reedus and Sean Patrick Flanagan, sitting at a table, having a beer. Sit down and join us.
I can just see Eugene's face. But Eugene, was this before you met Kelly?
Oh, yeah. This was maybe 8 years ago.
Eugene's at the bar. And he's like, oh, this chick's kind of cute. Hey, I'll come back to the table. Oh, shit, I'm going to get laid. Holy shit, Norman Reedus.
Holy fuck. Look down at your hands. There's no tattoos.
He's like, oh my God, man. The Boondock Saints.
Holy shit.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
I don't know. Fucking Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands.
Put him at your side.
So I played it cool, had a beer, didn't fangirl anything, but I had one beer and I had to leave.
We're not worthy.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
Oh my God.
Super cool guy though. Super cool. Both of them were. It was awesome.
Super cool fucking story, bro.
And this is mind blowing because I also met Norman as well. And now back when I was doing on-site journalism for Cinelinks.com. I was a correspondent that handled horror conventions. And so I got to interview a lot of people and, just part of the job. These were interviews, so it wasn't sit down and have fun. But I did get to have a kind of a chill moment with Norman Reedus, and he is absolutely one of the chillest dudes ever. We were at Texas Frightmare Weekend and I was out in the courtyard with a friend of mine named Kristen Reed, who's actually, might be trying to talk to her. She's actually might be one of our kind of like co-hosts in waiting. That we may you may hear her on the podcast one day. But anyway, we were chilling out, and the Boondock Saints, Sean and Norman and David De La Rocca were there doing a signing, and so Kristen and I are sitting out in the courtyard smoking a cigarette. We're just chilling out and just talking about, because we worked on a movie. Yeah, we worked on a movie together. We worked on a Cthulhu movie together, and so we were just chatting for a bit, and then all of a sudden, sure as shit, out the fucking doors into the courtyard, amongst all of us little people, is fucking Norman Reedus. And he like walks over and he just plants up against the wall, do the cool wallflower, smoke a cigarette. And I was like, and I had my back to him, so I didn't see him. And Kristen, all of a sudden, she like just freezes up. She gets like all stiff. And she's like, oh my God. I'm like, well, what is it? What is it? And I'm looking around. He's like, it's Norman Reedus. It's like, oh, cool. He came out here to have cigarettes. Sweet. You want to go talk to him? And she's like, no, I never could. No, absolutely not. I'm like, oh, come on. He's just an actor. Do you want to go chat to him? I hear he's really cool. And so, Kristen, I'm trying to play this up. I'm nervous as fuck. Because I'm used to sitting in the chair across from them and just asking them questions off my little fucking notepad and recording what they say. But you're walking up and saying, hey, how's it going? I never done this before. I think I did it once and I got shot down and it was really embarrassing. It was by Bruce Campbell. And I literally walked up to Norman. I was like, okay, Kristen, hang on a sec. I'm gonna put on my journalist big boy pants here, and I literally stroll up to Norman Reedus. I'm like, hey, Norman, how's it going? He was like, hey, what's happening, man? And I was like, hey, I have a friend over here. Her name's Kristen. She would really love to meet you, but she is crazy fucking nervous. Is it cool if she comes over and says hi? And he was like, fuck yeah, just send her over here. And she's over there like 20 feet away, fucking wide-eyed, like, oh my God. And so she kind of makes her way over, and the two of them start chatting. And then I checked the time, and I was like, I've got to go. I've got an interview I got to get to. And I was like, okay, hey, Norm, it's great to see you. Have a good one. Kristen, I'll talk to you later. And I left. So then I had work to do. So I worked all fucking day, and it turns out Kristen was invited up to his fucking room with Sean and David and a couple of other select people to go up there and fucking smoke out.
Well, damn.
And I was so fucking pissed because I'm walking out of the goddamn convention. I'm exhausted. I have talked to everybody. I'm just fucking tired. So now I got to go home and I got to upload everything, and I'm doing my job, and I wasn't really even getting paid at the time. And she's up there fucking smoking weed with Daryl Dixon and the Boondock Saints.
The Boondock Saints. Hey, what are you doing? Smoking weed with the Boondock Saints?
Boondock Saints?
Well, fuck me.
So, but absolutely a super cool guy. Norman Reedus, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, dude.
Happy birthday.
Cool. And then another one. January 7th, 1964. Somebody you might know named Nicolas Cage was born and started to live a life that would affect, I think, every single person in the world. In some way or another. Good, bad, mental, I don't know.
The reverberations of Nicolas Cage's birth were felt by all.
Everything's so freaking intense all the time, man.
The bees! Not the bees! Okay. They're in my eyes!
I know that it's
the numbers. The dates are in the numbers.
I know that Nicolas Cage's penchant for acting via German expressionism is his big inspiration. And you see it in his early work. And that's where the manic shit comes from. The big compare what Nicolas Cage does to scenes you saw in Nosferatu. Okay, or in
this German expressionism.
Or in Metropolis. Okay,
which is scary in German, but when you do it in American, it's psycho.
It's weird. It's so like that, but I have to admire him for that. Now, unfortunately, that makes a lot of his films misses, but occasionally he gets a solid fucking hit like Mandy.
Dude, Mandy was great. I loved the movie Next.
Next or Knowing?
No, Knowing was a good one. I think it was Next. Yeah. Was that what the...
Knowing was good. I thought Next was shit because it was all a dream.
I know, yeah. I mean, but for the time, I thought it was a pretty good movie. When I saw it, I thought it was pretty good. It wasn't one of his worst movies.
Well, because he hits gems. Like, I liked him in Kick-Ass. I thought he was good in that.
He has some hits. He does. And when he hits, he really hits. Gone in 60 Seconds, fucking Leaving Las Vegas, which he won an Academy Award for. We'll always remember him for Raising Arizona.
Oh god.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Just that whole fucking scene when he stole the diapers and shit. And he locked his keys in the fucking car. And he's like, and he just throws the shit and runs into the desert. Like a fucking idiot.
Good choice.
Oh god, he was so brilliant. Like, and I cannot wait for Color Out of Space.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
Color Out of Space.
I think
That's
it's gonna be amazing.
determining in the end of his career. No, not. I mean, like, he's getting older, man.
He took fucking
1964,
Manny and he ran with it, and
He's getting towards the end.
so yeah.
I'm sure we'll see some real good stuff here.
For the prolific career of
upcoming years.
Nicolas Cage, Face Off,
I'm thinking like
Fucking-
The Rock, Con Air.
Adaptation.
Con-
Adaptation.
Oh
Yeah, that was a good
yeah.
one.
That was a good one. Yes.
Matchstick Men.
Matchstick Men. Fuck
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And then obviously the National Treasure series.
Oh yeah, no, he's great in that.
Did you say
Those are good movies.
Did you say The Rock?
Yeah, The Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Rock. Yes, I recently watched that again. I fucking love him and Sean Connery. One of the last things I think I saw Sean Connery do that I think he was enjoying himself.
Yeah, he looked like he was
That's
he was having fun in that one. I mean, it's a fun movie all the way around.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love it.
It's good
So
stuff.
yes,
So awesome. Keep them coming, Nick. Happy birthday.
happy birthday, Nicholas.
Happy birthday. And the last birthday we have today is she was born January 9th, 1973, and it's Angela Bettis.
Oh, I love this dear girl so much. She's such a fantastic character actress.
She's been around in so many different things. She's probably best known for May.
It's such a creepy little film. Fuck. She was so good.
creepy film, came out 2002. She was also in the Toolbox Murders. She was in Carrie, the 2002 remake, and then she was in Girl Interrupted with Angelique Jolie and Winona Ryder. Just a whole long stretch of movies that she's been in.
Toy Box Murders, man.
Yeah.
If you know the actual story, if you've ever heard any of like the recordings and stuff from the actual murders that happened, like, and then oh my god, it was just so.
I tell you,
that was bad.
She has a tendency to take on roles in subject matter that really takes you in a different direction.
Oh yeah.
If one of those ones, she's a supporting actress. She's a supporting character in it. But in Lucky McKee is a director who pretty much is kind of, as a director, he has a fondness for the works of Jack Ketchum. Well, I'm not a Jack Ketchum fan of his books. The movies are good. They make for good horror. There was a film that Lucky McKee did called The Woman, and Angela had a supporting role as the wife of the husband who's trying to civilize the feral woman, and the way she portrayed the character. Okay, for context, The Woman is an incredibly brutal film, absolutely nuts in its violence, in its misogyny, in its gore. It's so fucking twisted, and this wife that she plays is such a finely tuned balance between mother and abused wife. Okay, and the way she characterizes, I don't know how she did the level of that girl's pathos and what she brings to a character has always astounded me, just shockingly so. I mean, she
the hard roles.
She left, yeah. She takes on the hard ones, yeah. I mean, she left me on the floor with May. May blew my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a good one. She's really good at portraying those really hard situations to put yourself into and then come back out of. So the fact that she does it over and over and over again, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's just a testament to her ability.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And she was also in the Masters of Horror.
She was. I was wondering if it would be if it's appropriate to mention that, but I really enjoyed watching her make out with Misty Monday. I really did. That was a gruesome little film called, I think it's called Sick Girl. And that was a gruesome little film, but it was about a couple of lesbians. And lesbian horror is always a blast. I mean, not going to discount it. And Misty Monday, who is a softcore actress.
Yes.
And Angela Bettis, who's a fantastic character who brings everything she can to every role she plays. Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with watching the two of them get sensual on a couch.
Good times.
Good Saturday.
Absolutely.
So, well, happy birthday, Angela.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. All right. Well, that closes out this week in horror. We want to thank all of you listeners so much for taking the time to give us a listen. We really hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed making it. As always, any of your feedback, comments, questions, suggestions, feel free to shoot us an email at weekinhorror@gmail.com. We'd love to hear what you think. We're available on all of your favorite podcast hosting stations. We're on Google, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on Broadcast FM, and especially we are on Anchor, anchor.fm/weekinhorror. You can find us there. Check out our new Patreon. We started a new Patreon for anybody who'd like to support us at patreon.com/weekinhorror. Our Patreon subscribers get exclusive content, like our Week in Horror Bloodbath, where we debate the finer points of pitting two horror icons together and watching them battle to the death. Or our Week in Horror After Dark, where we sit down and have some special time with our special guests and talk to them about them and their roles in the horror industry as writers, directors, producers or actors. And we like to just get their take on what they think of their history and what they think of the industry itself. As always, you can find us at facebook.com/weekinhorror to get your daily splatter, which is a little bit of horror history, a little bit of horror nuggets every single day. And of course, you can also find us on Twitter to get the same thing. Follow us at Week in Horror. So thank you again so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys. I'm Alex.
Thank you, everyone. I'm Eugene.
I'm JL, and we will see you all next week.